here.
A stupid ass cat, indeed.
Whoa. What is this place? Oh my god, I thought I just stepped on some shit. Hi everyone. Welcome back to the empty film discussions. Last time I saw you was in a special episode that I recorded almost 2 months ago. I think more than 2 months ago at this point, actually. Yes it was. It's been a long time. But you saw me last week. I haven't seen you in forever, so it's a little weird. I know these awkward greetings. But you know, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here where I'm at right now, and I'm happy to be here with this little kitty. Yeah. So I alluded to this topic in the last episode, and I even think I've alluded to it in the past, maybe my Criterion video or something like that. Possibly in one of the videos I did discussing like the Mario movie, which was not a podcast. It was just a couple little short videos. Really, mainly one. The other was a bit of a goof, and yeah. Anyway, I'm talking about random videos on this channel with lack of context, but I have to give you proper context to this actual theme that I'm going to discuss. Oh, what you doing back there? What are you doing? There's a bit of a phenomenon in film. We will call it, oh, and I guess, you know, I want to make sure I'm actually recording before I get into this. I'm pretty sure I am, but, you know, I tend to psych myself out. So, there's, you know, a lot of internet brain, or rather, internet brain leakage that is fueling and filling its way into film discussion. Has this been rooted in discussion before the internet existed? Yeah, because bad faith has always existed. Gaslighting has existed. You know, these things have existed since we learned to communicate. And, you know, I would kind of like to just broadly discuss, although a little less broad than last episode, which was pretty messy. I would like to sort of look across a map, if you will, of, you know, some silly things I've noticed in the film world. I've got my notes right here for me to read off of, because there are plenty of examples of this weird mentality where, so essentially, let me try and define this. I mean, the title of this, right, be honest about what you like and the things that you don't. I feel like a lot of people, you know, really do have trouble with accepting the fact that we like to say, oh, these films, I've done it in this fucking podcast, these films are objectively great. And you know, there's sort of a truth to objective talent, but even that is really only set up by our own standards. Like, nothing in the universe is objective except for, like, existence. So, you know, most things are subjective. I mean, it is only universe to us because we define it that way. Like, we don't even know objectively what the universe is. We only have a sort of subjective frame of knowledge of it that we kind of piece together a certain way, you know. I mean, again, there are things that are true in it. There are things that are solidified. But concepts are not necessarily objective at the end of the day. And film is all about concepts. You know, it's about ideas and things. Realizing ideas, giving them form, life, and momentum, movement. That's what film is about. Really, any visual medium that goes past pictures. And you know, whether it's people just trying to take other things down a peg, I mean, that's usually what it is. It's just these weird, different methods that people have of not actually engaging with the art, just kind of joining social clubs and then, like, making other people, I guess, feel like losers for liking something. Like, I guess that's the goal. You know what, I personally am not the biggest fan of it. I'll let my cat out. Hold on, guys.
Get out of here, you stupid animal.
So, I'm gonna transition from the last episode, do a bit of a smooth transition, where, you know, last time I was talking about various anime, and an easy way for me to start this discussion is bringing up the weird sort of tension between the fan bases of Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. It's pretty much mostly just coming from the JJK end, which is weird, because you have two things that are pretty much uncomparable, other than they are both anime, and in their own ways, they are pushing the boundaries of what animation can do today, but they're doing it in incredibly different ways. And there are also two shows that did a season and had a movie, but both of those first seasons are completely different from one another in Demon Slayer to Jujutsu. A lot of the characters are pretty different. They're based off of very different stories and things, and in the movies especially, I mean, are way different. Like, you get completely different experiences from them both. So when I go around and just see, like, you know, Demon Slayer mid, it's sort of just like a catchphrase that's been made to, like, again, bring Demon Slayer down the peg. For one, I see these people in the Jujutsu fan base, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys just aren't fans. You don't actually like this stuff. You're just here to be assholes, to make other people feel bad about what they like. So, with that, you are not engaged with the art sincerely. You are just here to be a spiteful bastard. And no one likes you, and that's why you're so sad. And, you know, I can't wait for you to die. Maybe not that last part, but maybe. And then, you know, like, I just don't understand why it's even, like, a thing that, like, I guess just there are enough bigger fans in the Jujutsu fan base that see, this is really what it is in general, forget these specific projects I'm talking about. People see things that other people like, and they've never engaged with it, or maybe they've engaged with it for like 2 seconds, and they just need to go out and be a hater because that's what online brain leakage does. It just makes you a hater. That's Twitter brain, that's YouTube comment section brain, you know, and that's certainly like most anime fan bases too. You can't just like an anime, you have to like come up with the ultimate slam dunk for why every other anime fucking sucks, and the one you like is actually the good one. It's stupid. It's fucking really dumb. I resent it fully, and, you know, that unfortunately won't make it go away, but it does allow me to have fun making those assholes feel very stupid, because their opinions are not solidified in anything. And, again, you know, you don't have to like Demon Slayer. This, back to objectivity and subjectivity. You can fucking hate it. You literally can. Like, there may be things in there. I mean, I don't have your brain. You don't have mine, right? This is the whole point, is that we all have different brains. And you may see Demon Slayer and think, yeah, I don't really relate to these characters much and all that stuff. You know, I don't really like where the plot's going. I don't really care for the music, blah, 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 blah. But the animation is some of the best out there. I mean, that is as objective as it gets, because you can look at all other animation that has come out up until this point, and you can see that it's just far more vibrant and fluid and colorful than so much other shit that exists. And Jujutsu is also pushing animation boundaries, like I said, but in a very different way. It's more muted, but purposefully muted in its color palette. It's fluid, but fluid in a different way. A lot of Jujutsu's fluidity comes out of rotoscope. I mean, they do amazing stuff with rotoscope over at Mappa, and Jujutsu Kaisen was the one where I first saw that, and was like, oh my god, this is fucking insane. So, for, again, the comparisons here, like if these were two rotoscope anime, or if Jujutsu was as colorful as Demon Slayer, then I'd be like, okay, I see why these are being compared, but like I literally don't get why they would be compared and pit against one another, unless if there weren't just some bitter fucks who are bored with their life that just don't care to engage with Demon Slayer, don't even care to actually try and see if they really don't like it, because a lot of this mentality comes from never having engaged with it in the first place. I mean, think about how, you know, saying something is mid is the same as just saying no whenever someone gives you like a really, really well thought out like argument, and you know your only fucking like comeback is no, like that is the equivalent of calling something mid. It is literally the opposite of engagement. If someone doesn't like Demon Slayer genuinely, they're probably going to describe it, you know? So, hate bombing, not really a fan of it. I think it's pretty lame. I actually just double featured both the films too, the Demon Slayer movie and the Jujutsu movie. I did that last night for this discussion. And also to hype myself up for the new seasons. Jujutsu just came out, and I'm actually very late to Demon Slayer because of the move. I think it started when I did the special episode. But I'm very late to it, very excited to catch up. Jujutsu I've read, so I know what happens. And see, even there, I have a bit of a personal preference a little bit, just because Jujutsu is like this perfect sort of taking anime from the past, like Bleach and Naruto, and just cutting the filler, making the characters not annoying. The Naruto cast, taking them, making them more likable, and then putting them in the Bleach setting. No filler, and way more stakes, way more balls, and it's incredible. And modern animation, too. I mean, that's incredible. Demon Slayer, on the other hand, I don't really find it comparable to many other old anime. I partially, like, I wouldn't compare it to Berserk, but that's the only one, like, closely related to me just because it's, like, an old type of story. It's very sort of classic story of this struggling warrior, you know, but even then, you know, Tanjiro is like a great, like, Goku, Superman, Aang type of character. He's just this embodiment of good, and, you know, there's so much heart that can be just, like, shot into the story, through that, you know, and, Yuji, the main character in Jujutsu, is also great. I feel like he's brought down to a bit more of a real level, maybe a bit more relatable to kids in a way. He feels a bit more human in the beginning, where Tanjiro, I think, is a bit more larger than life. But even then, like, you know, if we want to talk about flaws that exist in these things, like, oh, well, Demon Slayer is bad, which I've never, you know, again, people who hate on Demon Slayer, I've never seen, like, actual reasons that they give for why they like it less than Jujutsu. They just say, mid. But, you know, any nitpicks that I have with one, I kind of have with the other. Like, you know, maybe sometimes it feels like in certain fights, people probably should be dead. Like, they probably, you know, they're at least just healing a little too quickly. That kind of happens in Demon Slayer Season 2 towards the end. But, you know, in Jujutsu, it also kind of happens towards the beginning of the character, where it's like, alright, they recovered pretty fast from some fucked up shit. And then also, you know, in both the movies, there is just a main villain that just kind of gets introduced, that had really nothing to do with the plot for most of the movie, and then they're just there for the final act, which, you know, in both cases is a little bit messy writing, but they both, the Demon Slayer movie and the Jujutsu movie, give such fantastic payoffs of you know, final climaxes and stuff. It's amazing. And, you know, again, I talk about how these films are completely different experiences as well, because Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is a prequel origin story film. Like most anime films, it is a part of the main story, you know, but at best it's kind of like off. It's a prequel origin story about a character that's only been alluded to in the show, and that we're not even going to see until the end of this season that's just started, which is going to go for like 6 months. And then, you know, it has this very normal structure, we'll call it, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It has a very regular structure for like an origin story kind of film of this character that, you know, the self-realization kind of happens as the film goes along, and it's very straightforward in that way. Demon Slayer is also very straightforward, but in that it is essentially an entire it's not quite one act, it's more like 2 acts, just one really big action set piece act that just lasts for the whole film, and then ending with another huge action set piece. And even though it is a action film that's pretty much one location, it still manages to feel really grand scale. Both the films do. And, you know, the Demon Slayer movie, I mean, having an anime film that actually is technically like the beginning of the 2nd season of the show, like that is different for animes. Most anime films have fuck all to do with the anime, like the big shonens from back in the day. All the Dragon Ball movies up until like 2015 are just not canon, and even then they redid Battle of Gods and you know, Resurrection F in the show. Demon Slayer did that too, you know, they put a TV version of the film in the beginning of season 2, but at least it still looked good, and also did have a little bit of different stuff and kind of a different energy to it, and some extras and things. So it qualifies its existence a little more. And then in this season of Jujutsu, we're going to have some recaps, like for season 1, as well as the film. But this, again, the payoffs in both of these shows are so big, so unique, not just from each other, but to many anime. Sure, I mean, you could boil it just down to good guy versus bad guy stuff, but the way it approaches these stories, I mean, I've never seen anything that looks like Demon Slayer. Jujutsu is certainly the best version of a shonen that could ever exist, and it's wonderful. I'm so happy to exist in a time where both of these are coming out at once, as well as other magnificent anime. And you know, honestly, I mean, like Hell's Paradise or something like that is probably more comparable to Demon Slayer, but I don't see anyone calling that mid. Or I don't see anyone calling Demon Slayer mid in the Hell's Paradise community. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know, but again, I mean, it's just a catchphrase. You know, that's all it is. There's no actual engagement with the art. It's just sort of social club bullshit. My thing is cooler than your thing because I'm cool, nana boo boo. Like, that's it. So, you know, fuck all that. I hate it. I despise it. And you know, I can extend this to anime that I don't like as well. Now I'm on the other side of this equation. I can't really get into One Piece. You know, I don't really like the art style. I think Monkey D. Luffy is a great design. And then there are a few other designs that I like. And then there's a lot of designs that I think are baseline anime designs. Like you could find them on a make your own anime character site with just like the most basic looking anime characters, like that ginger bitch that everyone like simps for from One Piece. Literally the most basic looking anime character I've ever seen in my fucking life. And then there's just like the dumbest shit you've ever seen, like that fucking skeleton with the afro, or a chomper, or like the dumbest shit ever. That in good material you could convince me that these characters actually have potent drama behind them, but I personally just don't buy it. I will give One Piece a chance one day in the form of reading, but in a show form that is fucking inaccessible. If you like it, that's great. I am not watching all that fucking filler, and even then, too long in its own right for characters that I just don't care for. I don't have to move at the pace of the show when I'm reading. I could just fucking read it at a nice, brisk speed. So when I give One Piece its fair chance, because for most of my life I haven't engaged with it, but I've tried. Because I can't form an opinion about it any other way unless if I engage with it. And if I can't stomach it after a certain point, then I just can't. I just can't keep going. That's alright. If you can't stomach Demon Slayer after a certain point, because maybe it's a little too schmaltzy, then that's fine. But let's be honest, you know, Jujutsu, the movie, starts with like a fucking song that would belong in like the Sonic games. Like, believe in yourself! Like, you know, come on, like, let's acknowledge the cheesiness in all things. Okay, most things are cringe, you know, let's just acknowledge this, alright? You know, things that are that you take so seriously. It's gonna be the most cringe shit to someone else. And, you know, what truly is cringe, other than someone just really liking something? That's what cringe is a lot of the times. It's just Demon Slayer's mid-brain just looking at something that people like and going, oh, it's disgusting! Like, it's just these weird reactions to, like, displays of affection. Like, people just are too South Park-brained, that can't handle sincerity towards things that they, that people like. They gotta take everything else down a peg, and then they, you know, they like what they like, but they can't show any genuine love for it either, because they only engage with it out of spite. And I digress. Is there anything else I wanted to say about these anime? I'm not sure, because I have some other things on this list. There's a lot of stuff in here that I gotta get to, so... Well, not a lot. There's just a few more examples. I think that's it as far as the anime. If there's more, I will bring it up. So, this sort of taking things down a peg nature, and, you know, being honest about the things you like and the things you don't, bad faith, all of this brilliantly sums up the way people talk about the Star Wars prequels these days. Because, you know, again, subjectively, maybe you like them, and that's great. But just these films now, comparatively, in terms of even just the previous Star Wars films, there are certainly things that are just down the peg. The films are entirely reliant on their CG special effects. They literally talk about in the special features for the second film how the film is nearly 100% CGI, and they're saying this with big smile, so proud, because I mean, CG at any point in its existence, it's always going to be a lot of work. Back then, it just was not where it is today, and even today, we are still figuring it out. And, you know, just visually, for most, they're not very pleasant films. If you can look at the prequels and say, oh, I don't think it looks that bad. Oh, okay, alright. You know, and then, listen, I'm not gonna, like, dunk on the fucking kid or anything, because most kid actors are just fucking kids. They don't know what the hell is going on. You have to be a really good director to pull great performances out of kids, okay? George Lucas, I mean, even though I don't like the prequels, I don't necessarily think he's a bad director. I think he's a bad artist because he's very shrill, essentially has no confidence in any of his past works and has mutilated them, and then sold his soul when he was making the prequels because he was too fucking lazy to go outside to make a film. Literally has scenes in the second prequel where two characters are just on a hill, just a grassy hill on a sunny day, and that's it. And it is clearly the most fake-looking sunny day and hill you've ever seen in your fucking life. And George Lucas literally lives on a ranch. He literally lives on a bunch of grassy hills, and all the behind-the-scenes footage is on the most beautiful sunny days of like all of the prequel films. So it's like he was too lazy to just get out of his chair, and you know, apathy and laziness are killers of art. That's just a fact. And there's a difference between using tools that help you to create art that you have inside of you that you can't get out without having $1 million fucking bucks, and then all of a sudden this piece of technology comes around and oh, cool, now I can do this thing. Now with this free app that for some reason is at least as good as GarageBand, which is still like a few bucks these days. You only get it free if you get a Mac. So, you know, that's as free as buying a Mac is. Like the fact that there's, you know, these great music recording programs or these video editing programs that are free. Joel Haver's Rotoscope program, that's free. People can rotoscope for free. Like, that's insane, and that is amazing. That is totally different from a guy dumping millions and millions and millions of dollars into CG and practical effects, but then dumping more money onto the CG to just delete those practical effects that had taken so much work to do. And I mean, that goes for the prequels and the originals, the way he's sort of kind of overlapped those, again, mutilated them with horrible, horrible effects. You know, so you have a generation of kids who saw those movies in the theaters their whole lives. Everyone older than them that's a Star Wars fan, even people who aren't Star Wars fans, are telling them these movies are trash. You know, bad acting, bad script, lifeless, no one, few people involved cared. The person in charge did, but through a very cynical, selfish, belated ego type of way. So there's nothing earnest about them. And, you know, so then these kids grow up, and then a new trilogy of Star Wars films come out, and now they get a chance, the moment that these films don't pan out, now they get a chance to go, oh, so these films are also bad? I guess that means these films are masterpieces then. It's like, you're kind of missing the point a little bit. I feel like, again, you're just doing this to take these new films down a peg because you're insecure about what you like. You can't just say, yeah, well, I know the prequels kind of have cheesy acting, I know they have cheesy CGI, I know they have this, I know they have that. Star Wars fans, prequel fans, cannot do that. If you say the prequels are bad, it literally is the same brain set as fucking Demon Slayer's mid. All you get in response is, no, literally, the best argument, I swear to fucking God, everyone that I've talked to in my life online that loves these movies, the best argument they ever give me for why they are good, not why they like them, for why they are good, is because they saw the movies in the theaters when they were a kid. I'm glad you liked it as a kid, but you're not giving me much more to grab to, again, other than your personal, subjective feelings. What it does for your brain, it's not going to do for my brain. Okay? And again, these are things that we have to accept. When you show people The Godfather, The Godfather's not going to work for everyone's brain. 2001 is not going to work for everyone. Just because a lot of people in the film community agree that these are some of the best made films ever, because they're very ambitious, they look amazing. I mean, 2001, effects-wise, looks better than the old Star Wars movies, which have some of the best effects of the series. You know, I mean, the effects in 2001 are so good, people still think the moon landing is fake. That's how good those effects are. They think that Stanley Kubrick was hired by the government to fake the moon landing. 50 years later, people still think that. Star Wars, though, you know, some of the best practical effects were in the originals. Pretty much none of them were in the prequels, but these new ones, you know, the new films, did they have no plan going into it? No. And that was stupid. That's not great. That's not a great choice. It allows for everything to fizzle out. I mean, hell, I didn't even watch The Rise of Skywalker just because I heard it fizzled out so much. And I've always kind of just had this sort of outside, kind of partial appreciation of things of Star Wars. You know, certain things that grab my eye, I'll reach out to. Otherwise, I'm not watching these movies like every fucking day. You know, even the originals, like, let's be honest, they are just some very well-made children's serial adventures, and that's fine. That doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they are what they are. You know, they're not The Godfather. They are going for a different thing. That doesn't mean that they're not high art or whatever, because that's a stupid thing to believe in. I think I've already used the example from someone of whom I don't remember, but a very smart person that, you know, said the idea of high class, low class, highbrow, lowbrow art, kill it, destroy it, doesn't matter. Because all these things do different things for different people. People are going to see greatness in something that you're not going to see greatness in. It's a scale. It's a horizontal scale. Artsy, fartsiest, fucking 8-hour, black and white, barely any dialogue, fucking, you know, foreign indie film that only 2 people have seen. Popcorn of the most fucking popcorn, candy, sugar rush, Wreck-It Ralph, Mario movie, just baby stuff. Like, that's pretty much what I like. The pretentious, artsy, you know, stupid hat guy, smoking cigarette, black turtleneck, baby. That's pretty much, that's the vertical scale. One is not better than the other. They are a part of the same art form. They're all part of expression. I mean, this doesn't really go just for films. I think games are a bit more recreational, so they do kind of lean more towards that way generally. But you do have your artsy games. You have your games that calling them a game is even silly because the word game implies fun. And, you know, there's one game, a simulation, I guess is a better term, where you're just a guy, you're a suicide hotline worker, and you're trying to keep someone from killing themselves. You know, like, you can really, really push the art form in such amazing ways, and all of it's just as valid. However you're pushing it, if you are making a peak of entertainment that is accessible for everyone, or if you are really, really, really trying to question what film even is, and you're really deconstructing how to use a camera, how to use actors, how to tell a story, how long the movie should be, all of this is just as valid as one another. And then when you get something in the middle, you know, like, hell, Across the Spider-Verse is kind of like, maybe, I guess, closer towards the popcorn area because it's a superhero movie, so it's kind of for kids. But it's got balls, it's got stakes, it's edgier than the first movie, and it is just one of the most brilliant pieces of visual art anyone's ever seen in their fucking lives. So, you know, there's ways that you can appreciate these things without having to take other things down. Because again, you know, to go back now to that tangent, are there messy things about the sequels? Yes, but they are the best looking Star Wars films from a practical effects standpoint. With the, you know, they really took care. They understood that practical effects, even in a day and age where CG is peaking, practical effects are just always going to look better. I mean, that's why people love the new Blade Runner so much, is because it looks and feels real. So, you know, but when people hate on the new Star Wars movies, specifically the prequel fans, it's not like, well, you know, the cinematography is good and the acting, all the actors, I can tell they care. And, you know, there's some amazing cinematography in these films, too. And, you know, I can tell they're trying ideas, even if they fell flat. I can tell that they're trying things. No, there's none of that. It's literally just, these movies are bad, mine are good. Like, it literally, there is no fucking engagement. I haven't even seen the last of these fucking films, and I am more engaged with all of them than you will ever be, because again, to you, it is just social group bullshit. You don't actually care about discussing art, and it's baby shit. So, you know, in another 10 years, the fans of these sequels will grow up and see all the hate coming from the prequel films, and then they'll be old enough to make their own video essays, and, you know, I hope theirs are at least a little bit more objective than the ones I see that are just like, actually, the prequels are hidden masterpieces because I saw it as a kid, so it's really good. Like, that's literally all it ever is. You could say maybe, oh, well, maybe they're going a little too hard on some of the actors, and maybe there are some moments that I really like, and I also like how it touches on the Star Wars lore. Okay, those are never the reasons people gives, though. It's just the people my age who saw those movies as a kid that have a subjective connection to them, that just want to tear other people's connections down the peg. Internet brain rot, right? All it is all it is, you know? All the coke, there's so much coke in the prequel fan base. It really is funny. It really is a funny thing to see. I do love watching that, at least. Even for as fucking annoying as it can be. Oh yeah, guys. These prequel films are actually camp. It's actually intentional camp. You know, and also, you know, the flatness of it, the flat politics. I mean, maybe you're just that smart enough to be able to take in all these politics and the bad CGI. I mean, look, you know, it's not bad because it's CGI. It's bad because it's old CGI, and also, you know, Jar Jar's actually, it's kind of like this really genius thing where he's actually like the main villain and not just like this really dumb, like, racial stereotype comedic relief character. He's not that, you know, like, and then they'll look at the new movies and it's like, oh, so, well, you know, they're not great, but there's at least some things okay about them, right? No! So, you know, yeah. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It is a clear display of lack of care, and I despise it greatly. And now to continue, sort of off of the themes of just kind of passing off movies, just pass them off again, lack of engagement, not wanting to engage, not caring to engage, but still going out of your way to engage the hateful perspective, you know, just not, like, if you're not going to engage with the art, like, in a way where you care about it, then just cut it off, you know. Or, if you're not going to bring a perspective as to why you don't like it, you know, that you think actually is worthy of deconstructing the film, then do that too. If you're actually going to deconstruct the film, okay, do that. But, you know, men, and then a few years ago, Mother, but mostly men, watching the reaction of men from last year, Alex Garland's film, was just so disappointing. For me, as someone who's a fan of film, again, not everyone had liked that movie. I mean, it's a film that I knew would be controversial anyway. It's just disappointing to me how many people who didn't like it, again, just were like, oh, Alex Garland in his pick-me phase, and like, that's it. Like, that's the only thing they say about the movie. There's no, well, you know, the cinematography is at least great. Some of the best of the year as well, like definitely some of the best of 2022. Some of the best acting of 2022 as well. And yeah, you know, I went over that a little bit in my last video. How much I like it anyway, how much I love Men. And you know, again, if people don't like it, if it's a miss for most people, okay. But if we're film lovers, I mean, that's what we are, right? We are people who like film, because, you know, I just do not feel like you guys genuinely give a fuck about film. Again, if you don't like it, that's fine, but at least, like, why don't you like it? You know, why are we just, like, blowing off pieces of art for funsies? You know, and basically the best responses I was able to find in all my digging was, and sort of compared in a way to Darren Aronofsky's Mother, is just like, because both the films are, you know, a little heavy-handed in their commentary, and like, that's it. And then because of that, these films get like review bombed, like, by everyone, not just like fucking go woke, go broke, fucking like bottom of the barrel, you know, brain is mush, dumb fucks. Like, everyone is just like, oh, bad. Alex Garland bad because he man who make movie about woman who is scared of men. Oh yeah, thanks buddy. We already knew that. Like, so you just kind of like shoot him down for even trying, like, you know, like, and then Mother, it's the same thing. Oh, guy makes movie about how Christians are so crazy. Oh my God, atheists have it so hard. It's like, aren't we? Don't you want to see people critiquing the things in society that make everyone's lives fucking miserable, and then the second that they do, you're not even like, I mean, good try, falls a little flat for me, but, you know, nice attempt, whatever, I'd like something a little bit more deep. It's like, no, just fuck it all completely. I'd much rather just fucking give all my money to billionaires who just peddle out garbage, just film for babies, like the Mario movie. You know, honestly, why give me a piece of art that, you know, is going to attempt, even if in a sort of very straightforward way, is going to attempt to break down flaws in society that we all know exist. Why, I don't know. That kind of sucks. I'm expecting way better. Oh, but wait, billionaires want to shit out just literally fucking bumfuck nothing, a commercial for games, which, to my recollection, most people in the gaming community say that one of the main reasons why they don't want any video game movies is because it would just feel like they're watching a commercial for a video game that they could just play instead. And then Illumination literally made a lifeless Bass Pro Shop sounding fucking commercial for their game, for Nintendo, I mean, for Mario. And people ate it the fuck up. It's the highest grossing animated film ever. So again, I don't even think you guys are sincere. I don't believe that you guys actually give a fuck. I just think you guys like to form social groups and then turn around to people who have a marginally different opinion. You know, you really want to fit into a hive mind because you're so fucking insecure and lonely, and you're just not confident in any of your own views. You're not confident enough to say, you know what, fuck it. People don't like this movie, I don't give a fuck. you gotta just make everyone else feel like shit. And the Mario movie, you know, talk about love bombing. Like that was insane. That was insane the way everyone was reacting to it in terms of like the fans, you know, people my age or older who would say, yeah, the movie's bad, but what were you expecting? You know, it's just an Illumination movie. And then you go, oh, okay, so you agree it's bad. And they're like, no, it's good. What do you mean? And then, you know, again, it just flip-flop between, oh, well, what were you expecting? A fucking Satoshi Kon film? It's a stupid film for babies. So it's a stupid film for babies? No! And then, you know, when someone tries to make a film that is high art, it's just like, well, nah. And that's it. Just, nah. Like, yeah, I know you guys don't care, okay? I know I'm like one of the only people on this earth that actually cares about film and art. So just stop pretending to care. If you want to film, if you want to make social groups, if you want to form some friend groups, then fucking go back to Twitter and shut the fuck up about movies. Because you don't care. I know you don't care. I know you don't fucking care. I just feel it. If you cared, you would actually have opinions. And so, you know, with the Mario movie out of the way, because that was one that actually wasn't on my original list for this video, because I've planned this one for a while now. But I planned it before the Mario movie came out, and then there was that whole reaction, which I've also kind of already made a video on too, as I discussed earlier. And, you know, no one fucking had to say that about Across the Spider-Verse. Maybe there, you know, plenty of people love that movie. It's a kid's movie. Plenty of people love Puss in Boots too. These are both kids' movies that I wouldn't compare to fucking Satoshi Kon. It's not Perfect Blue. It's not making me twist my mind, but it's still amazing art because it's made by people who gave a fuck. It wasn't just the animation studio that, you know, was put into a dungeon and like, will only let you out if you make this film colorful, you know, like the Mario studio. It was more than just the animators who cared or were forced to care. It was everyone involved. Wow, could you believe that? People caring? And they didn't need billions of dollars to do it either? Oh my god! It's almost like not everything has to be shrill pieces of shit. It's almost like you can demand good stuff because it does exist. And you can expect things to be good, realistically, because it happens. Oh my god. Wait a minute. Art can be good? No way! You fucking assholes. I fucking hate all of you so goddamn much. And people love to like shit on guys like, you know, I see videos that are like, guys, your movie sucks, guy, and I hate everything. I mean, look at the state of mind they're in. They don't want to talk about movies for real, okay? And then talking about movies for real is just love bombing the Mario movie and saying if you don't like the Mario movie, you're just a stupid piece of shit. Oh, okay. Real film discussion. Listen, I know names like I hate everything and your movie sucks sound scary, but believe it or not, these are actually some of the guys who care about film the most on this website that you are going to find, period. Because they actually care about letting art stay in the hands of the artists, not just billionaires. Joel Haver, Dice Beppu, wonderful people who know how to be objective, you know, again, to the best that people can be, you know, giving actual heartfelt reasons, because again, it doesn't just have to be you talking about the literal filmmaking as to why these films make you feel so good. If you love the Mario movie, if you had a great experience with it, I want to know, I genuinely want to know your personal experience with it, because that is another huge part of film review. It's not just is this film technically amazing? Like, in terms of the standards we've said of what is good cinematography, what is good animation, what is good acting, what is good writing, what is good directing, what is good editing, blah, blah, blah. What experience did you have with the film? Oh, I went and saw a Mario movie with some of my closest friends, and we just had the most awful fucking day. But then we got there, and the energy in the theater was just so amazing. And everyone, you know, I didn't really expect to laugh, but I just felt myself kind of chill out, kind of just let myself be taken in by the film. And oh my god, you know, I actually had a really fun time. It's not the most amazing thing I've ever seen, but I think it's a great film, and I love it, and I'll buy it. I'll watch it again. You know, oh, okay, so you have a real personal attachment with this movie. Wow, thank you for sharing that with me. Now I can get a window, an actual window into someone's brain who likes the movie, because that's what I've been begging for as well, for a reason why people actually like the movie other than social club bullshit. And so, with that, I think we've moved on to, because I brought up love bombing, and I brought up Spider-Man. So here is the film that, when I discuss specifically bad faith, as well as all these other things about being honest, this one specifically, I think actual bad faith was involved, because everyone just saw a different movie. When people were talking about this movie that I'm about to mention, they were talking about a movie in their head that doesn't exist. And what could I be talking about exactly? Why? I'm talking about the most recent live-action Spider-Man film, unless if you count Morbius, which people had a very apt reaction to, thankfully. No Way Home, the movie that people were discussing when this film came out, is not the real movie. When No Way Home came out, the thing that everyone was saying is that this is the darkest Spider-Man film, especially the first half of the film is the darkest Spider-Man live-action content out there, period, in any Spider-Man film. Wow, really? I'm gonna have to see that. Okay. Alright, well, what's people's standards for dark? I mean, especially in a kid's movie made by Disney. I don't know, I mean, I guess it'd be pretty dark if there was some sort of, you know, big, you know, I mean, death is always dark in a kid's film. Okay, I mean, you get that, but that doesn't happen until the end of the first half, so when people say the first half of this film is dark, especially the first half, like the beginning, and then leading up, like, what are they talking about? Oh, literally nothing. Literally bumfuck nothing at all. Spider-Man gets slimed and pantsed in the beginning, and then there's a bunch of dumb quips, like usual, and then the entire plot happens because Spider-Man can't go to college with his friends, so he causes the whole universe to get fucked up. And it's basically a series of Disney XD bullshit until Spider-Man finally has to face some of his first ever consequences in that entire MCU trilogy that is just so weightless. And then, you know, essentially because it did the bare minimum of a Spider-Man movie, the fact that there was finally a impactful death in one of these films, the fact that there was finally a little bit of engaging cinematography, the fact that it finally built up to some actual practical action where you could see the actors fighting, not just CGI Spider-Man versus CGI objects, or CGI Vulture, you know, whatever, CGI drones, CGI water guy. And you know, I was really, like, I didn't see Far From Home until the night I saw Homecoming, No Way Home. I double featured them. I was working in the theater when Far From Home came out, and that was when I was ushering at the theater too. So I saw like the end credits scene of that movie like a million times. And I was hearing a lot of what happened too, so I also just kind of, I didn't get around to it. I generally liked Homecoming. I mean, I was the age of Peter Parker in that film when the movie came out. I was very much the age, like that age and below. You know, that was sort of the target audience for that film. And I was just bored by it. It felt, you know, I kind of resented that it was trying to feel more like a John Hughes movie than a Spider-Man movie. Incredibly flat cinematography and, you know, color palette and all these things. I don't care for Spider-Man not being able to make his own suit. I don't care about Spider-Man not trying to be Spider-Man, but he's actually funding, you know, Tony Stark. Most of the fight scenes with Spider-Man, I'm barely even engaged because it's not really him in the suit. I barely even care about any of the Spider-Man suits because they're never real, because I rarely get to see Tom Holland actually in the suit. It's only like 5 minutes per movie where he's in the suit. Or I mean, in Homecoming there's a little more. Or No Way Home, I mean. And then that's it. But to my surprise, that's actually the best film of the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy because, you know, it's just the most straightforward as a script. Even if it's potentially the most boring, at least it, like, goes from A to B smoothly and builds up to something. Far From Home just felt so meaningless, was lacking in personality, let alone Spider-Man personality. Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio especially was just so wasted. Really took out a lot of charm of that character, which is making him like Elon Musk, and he just has drones. There was one actual Mysterio scene in the movie, and that was a great scene, and then the rest of the film is just boring Disney XD. Peter goes on a high school trip, almost calls a drone strike on a bunch of children, and his stupid little Disney XD friend is there for like 1 second beginning with a girl, and it's like, you need to learn the ways of being a real bro, dude. And then he fucks off for the whole movie, and then he comes back, and he's like, oh man, my love just didn't work out, we're just on different paths, bro. Like, you know, just really annoying characters that mean nothing. And it all just kind of distracts from actual Spider-Man content. And then that other thing that people said that they actually didn't want. You know, there's the video game movies. People say that they didn't want movies that were just commercials. And then they went and just gave all their money to a commercial. People, you know, when these movies started, the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, they were like, we just want it to be Spider-Man shit. Just get right into Spider-Man. Because we have seen the origin story twice now, very close together. Like, we wanted to just be Spider-Man content. And then it turned out that the whole fucking trilogy was his origin story. And everyone just kind of flipped on it because, again, No Way Home did some things that were like a baseline for like making a movie a little bit more exceptional than just average, like trying with the cinematography, some more involved performances, actually having one of the tragic Spider-Man moments in the story, not just ignoring it. But again, these are baseline things, this is not new, and also the fucking beginning of the film is the most goofy Disney XD shit I've ever seen. What are you talking about? This is the darkest Spider-Man film. Are you 5? There were adults saying this! Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a darker film, for Christ's sake. Come on. Come on. And that's the film with He Hates Me, He Lied to Me. So, you know, I find it so silly. So silly. The weird, you know, now I at least have seen people come out and be like, oh, okay, you know, I have fun with this movie, but it is kind of low-key garbage. The only person I saw say that was Nathan Zed. every other reviewer, even reviewers I trust, were like, this is the darkest Spider-Man movie ever, and it's so fucking gritty. And then it literally is like, oh, Spider-Man got slimed. Oh, but Spider-Man's not gonna get to go to college with his friends. Dude. Oh, wait, can you wish for my friends to not remember me? Oh, and my Aunt May too? Oh, and can you grab me a donut? Like, really? That's the darkest film? Really, guys? It made me go insane, as you can already tell. Just because it felt like I was Mandela affected. I was the only one moved into a different universe. Everyone else was in a universe where No Way Home is actually a great, dark, gritty Spider-Man film. And then I'm in the real world. Because, yeah, not only that, I mean, it's just a fucking nostalgia bait piece of shit. It has so many things. This I also meant to bring up with the prequels, too. There's so many things in these films that people criticize about every other movie, but then when it comes in the direction of these movies, no, people criticize the hell out of the little moments of bad CGI in, you know, or not even just bad, just CG they don't like that little fucking orange old lady thing from the Star Wars sequels. People just hate that thing because it is CGI in the new movies. And because the prequels were criticized for CGI, the prequel fans have to go, oh, so then you have CGI in your movies, so that means it's bad. Even though, again, they're just completely ignoring so much context, so much reasoning as to why the prequels were criticized, you know, again, for relying on such effects, not just using them a little bit. And then, you know, thus ignoring the effects that made Star Wars so significant. The thing that literally made Star Wars significant was those practical effects, and they were gone in the prequels. And then also the Saturday morning cartoon feel was gone. So what do you have? Boring space politics about trade. And then CGI like wars. When, you know, if there is a real actor, it's like one dude in front of a green screen going, like Christopher Lee, like so fucking confused in that fight with fucking Yoda. He really knows how to use a sword, so that helps, but he's still like, even when two people are fighting each other in those movies, like fucking Anakin Obi-Wan, that amazing final action scene, which is just goes on way too long for how stupid and terrible it looks. And also, the choreography does not feel like two guys genuinely fighting in the moment. It looks like two guys who are on tech week for a high school musical that learn their dances too late, but they're two leads in the show, and they're doing their dances, they're doing their tricks, but they're sort of still like, they're just kind of looking up, they're just kind of looking in another direction, like, oh shit, I can't really like pay attention to my own body because like, you know, I can't look like I don't know what I'm doing, so I just have to think like, fuck, is it this move? Like, it doesn't look sincere, doesn't look like we're really in it. So, you know, these films where we're just talking about like, you know, people are willing to just shit on the tiniest little things in other movies, or even pull out valid criticisms in other films, like, you know, and then you go to like Captain Marvel. Everyone shat on that film, even though it's objectively really not any better or worse than the fucking 20 other random Marvel origin stories. It just starred a woman that people don't like, so to them it's the worst fucking Marvel movie. But then you look at No Way Home, and it actually does have like the most Disney XD goofy ass plot, and it's literally just nostalgia bait in the most racket way. Just nothing about it stands on its own. The only things people like about it are the things that have to do with older, better movies. That is it. That is the reason why people like it. That is the only reason why it made so much money, is because the old actors are going to be in it. the best parts of No Way Home is when Willem Dafoe is on screen, okay? I love the old trilogy. I don't even know if the best parts are fucking when Tobey Maguire's there, because he just looks like, yeah, I know, I'm getting paid for this. Like, Andrew Garfield at least had something to prove, because his movies weren't as good. So, and the writing for his version of Peter sucked. It was stupid, it didn't match the character at all, he was just a fucking douchebag skater kid. Oh yeah, Peter Parker. So for him to actually play a more sincere version of Peter and to get to sort of have a little arcs that were tied to his film, that was nice. But beyond the fan service, guys, beyond things that we like, I don't know how much of it is really good. And again, that's fine. But why can't we just admit that? Why do you have to say, oh no, actually it is amazing. Actually it's the darkest Spider-Man film ever, and if you don't think so, I guess you just don't like Spider-Man. Really, bitch? Really? Really? It's the only fucking Spider-Man movie you've even seen. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know, again, a lot of this comes from people who don't care, who aren't actually engaged in the art, who aren't watching these movies, who don't give a fuck. They just want to be involved in a social group. They just want something that'll pass the time, let them turn their brain off, which I don't believe is a fucking real thing, by the way. I believe that you can relax, but like, are you literally drooling when you watch these movies? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I believe in getting into a movie, but that doesn't, like, you're still with it, right? It's engaging you. Or do you, when people say that, do they literally mean they just go and, like, look at the screen, but they're not, it's just, maybe that's actually what it is when most people watch movies. I think that's actually what it is. So, I'm glad we've come to these very humble perspectives on my part. Is there anything else left on this little list? I think this might be it for me this time, because I've shredded through a lot of my topics. Part of me wants to talk about No Way Home more in either its own dedicated discussion or perhaps in an upcoming series of discussions where I speak on Spider-Man films of various varieties and things. So maybe I'll give it its own video, but that would mean that I'd have to watch it again, and I can't stomach watching that movie again in full. There's 40 minutes of No Way Home. That is brilliant, and that's what makes me hate it even more, is that there's 40 minutes of gold in a 2+ hour movie that is majority Disney XD nonsense, that is made just for a buck to just prey on my nostalgia bait, or to prey on my nostalgia, I should say. You know, Willem Dafoe, again, he's an amazing actor, but the movie, it cuts around him. They're too scared to show his face at the fucking time, so that sucks. Tobey Maguire, who I love, again, looks like he's just there for the check. And again, it's the thing that literally everyone said, don't make these movies this, and then it was the thing none of us wanted, just a trilogy of Spider-Man origin stories. And now we don't even know if we're going to get another one with this guy, with Tom Holland. And, like, you guys, I know you guys just don't care. I know you guys just don't care. If you just need shit to, like, shoot you up with dopamine and waste your life, just take up heroin already, guys. Come on. The thing you need already exists. It's already out there. You don't have to fucking get into everyone else's face, make everyone else feel bad because you don't actually like movies. You just want something to pass the time. Make me sad. You make me very sad and disappointed, I must say. You truly do. And so, you know, I eagerly await for the next film that comes out that people, you know, form social groups around. I wonder what it'll be, actually. I'll have to... Man, I can't predict one at the moment, because there's some films coming out that actually seem good in one way or another, so people won't have to, like, you know, supplement their insecurities with just insults, which is a lovely thing that film discussion has turned into. And again, this comes from all the people who you know, will go to like a YMS or an IHE and be like, oh, you hate movie? Well, who even is this guy? He calls himself a critic, but he gives things a 6 out of 10? What? It's like, you know, you can't have an actual individual brain. You must either love the thing that everyone else loves blindly, or you got to dogpile the thing that everyone else dogpiles blindly. And people say that on the internet, like, oh, there's no room for nuance. And sometimes I feel like that's kind of like a fucking hack excuse. But in this case, it's true. There really is no nuance in film discussion in the general public. There really is not. And then even within circles of people who do claim to care about film, there's not nuance. It's just video essays that are like, actually I saw this film as a kid, so that means it's a masterpiece, and if you don't like it, you're a fucking dumbass. Awesome, guys! So cool. Thank you for caring about movies. You guys are the real fans. I'm so glad you guys are watching movies. Man, what would we do without you? You got it. I'll see you guys next time. There will be a few episodes. I don't think this will be the direct segue to the Spider-Man discussion, since it's still the middle of the month, because there's actually many Spider-Man things I want to discuss over the course of various episodes. So I think next week is a little tease. I'm likely going to stick with the anime theme just a little bit, even though I'm going back into live action film. This will be anime adaptation that I have been led to now. It's a film I wanted to discuss for a while. There are a few discussions that I had planned, that I watched the films of that I wanted to discuss and wrote notes for, that I wrote notes for, that I just didn't do because I moved. So I'm going to do one or two of those over this month, or maybe I'll just do one and then discuss a couple new movies that are out, because I want to talk about The Dial of Destiny. But with that said, that kind of just makes me want to talk about all the Indiana Jones films. I might as well tease it now. I mean, in one of the comments of another video of mine, I was requested by my uncle to do Donnie Darko, so I got to talk about Donnie Darko sometime. It gives me an excuse to rewatch that film too, since it's been so long. And I'll double feature it with something if I can't find all hours worth of discussion. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I'm excited to watch that. I don't know if that'll be before or after Spider-Man month though, which will be in August, my birth month. Very excited for Spider-Man month, so there's the hype for that. Maybe No Way Home will be a full topic of discussion. Maybe I'll just kind of come back to some of the points I made here and expand on them, because there's a good bit of alternate Spider-Man content that I want to talk about. Some stuff that I think will really kind of, you know, catch people off guard, things that some people don't know as well as, say, the Raimi films or these current ones, The Amazing Spider-Man. So, I think I'll just leave it at that. I will refrain from teasing what could potentially be next week, other than it is a live-action adaptation of an anime film. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm happy to be back, truly. I'm happy to be here, like I said, and I'm very happy to discuss films, even if the particular thing I'm discussing is how much everyone else hates films. So, without further ado, I'll see you next time.
Turn this shit off, bro.